Welcome to Pseudocode. Today we are going to talk about applications or services. What are applications? What do they do? Why do we need them? The factors we need to consider while designing application or services, along with some use cases and a surprise subtopic related to services at the end. So let's get started. What are applications or services? We have talked about different components like data flow, client server architecture, proxies. And now the next component in system design is applications or services. If we go back to the example of building that we have talked about, thinking building as a visual metaphor for system design or system, think about the services or the functionalities that exist in a building, like elevator or water supply or electric supply. All these features or all these components in a building are actually fulfilling some kind of responsibility or requirement which serves to the requirement of the users or the people who are in the building. Now let's understand what are applications in context of system design. We talked about client server architecture where client sends a request to the server responds back with the data. What actually exists inside this client and server machines? There is a piece of code that is running on client devices or instances. There is a piece of code that is running on server instances, which is delivering a certain responsibility, a certain set of identifiable unit of task while catering to the needs of users' requirements and the system requirements. Now, let's see what are the examples of these apps. So, for example, you have apps on your phones, you have apps on your desktop which you access like a web app. For example, you will have Netflix, Dropbox, Evernote on your phone, as well as you can access them through desktop also. There are web applications and there are desktop applications, and then these applications actually talk to the backend, where backend apps are serving to these front-end applications. So let's take an example, Evernote. You create a note or you create a notebook. At that time, you are interacting with an front-end application or client application, which is either it will be a desktop application or it will be a web application. So the responsibility of that web app or desktop app will be to render the UI elements, to allow the user interactions, collect data, the requirements, and send that request across to backend. Backend also will have apps like which, for example, there will be an application or a service that is going to be responsible for handling all the nodes. There will be a application which is going to be responsible for handling the user profile and user data. And suppose if that app has a subscription feature or payment, then there will be an application that will be helping to handle the payments. So those will be the backend applications. In conclusion, what we understand from here is that applications or services perform certain responsibility. Application or services fulfill certain responsibilities, perform certain tasks or features. For that, they are developed, and applications at different layers have different responsibilities. Applications at client side will have different responsibilities. Application at server side will have different responsibilities. Applications at client side and server side can interact with each other. Also, applications at backend side also, if there are multiple applications, they also interact with each other for the exchange of data and fulfilling certain features. So that is a basic of what are applications. It is very easy to understand because you interact with these applications on a daily basis. Maybe not with the backend applications because you can't see it, but with the front end applications, it is very easy to understand that what these applications are doing. So that is how we define applications or services in terms of system design. So now let's talk a little bit about the tech stack and the responsibility for applications. By tech stack, I mean when I mentioned that applications are a piece of code, so that code is written in certain languages using certain frameworks. And some examples are for front end. Now, for example, Android, Java and Kotlin is heavily used. For iOS, there is Swift and Objective C. For web apps, JavaScript is mostly used language, and there are certain frameworks built over JavaScript like Angular, Ember, React, etc. Similarly, for backend, there are certain choices like Python, Java, Go, PHP, etc. Again, there are frameworks for backend applications as well, like Spring Boot, Drop Wizard, Laravel, Django. So there are two things, languages and frameworks. You can obviously write the whole application on your own using the language of your choice and however it applies. But frameworks do most of the bootstrapping and common tasks that are needed for any of the applications. So actually, you can use frameworks, harness their power, and start building features on the top of frameworks. And so that is about tech stack. Important thing to note here is that applications don't have to have the same tech stack. It's like it doesn't matter what language is your front end application written in, or what language your different backend applications are written in. The methods of communication between applications, the APIs, are language agnostic. It doesn't matter what are the languages of two applications that are interacting with each other. APIs can communicate well with any kind of stack. We'll talk more about APIs in the upcoming video. Now let's talk about the responsibilities of client apps and backend apps in a little bit detail. These are the common set of responsibilities. Obviously, there could be client apps as well as backend apps that either do much more than the responsibilities listed here, or do less depending on the how the system is working, or what the system is responsible for, or what the features that are required from the system. But these are some of the most common ones. So client apps are responsible for rendering UI elements, handling the interactions with those UI elements. For example, when you click on a post button, or you try to fetch some particular video, or try to watch some video, so those are interactions with the users, and the client apps handle those interactions, that what happens when you click on a certain button, or what happens when you type in something. Then similarly, client apps collect the data from the user, and communicate with the backend to fetch the data and save the data that has been collected from the user. And also, client apps render static data as well. On the other hand, backend apps are responsible to serve this data, or to serve the client apps and other apps through exposing API endpoints, housing the business logic that is implementing certain feature. And obviously, backend apps have to handle the data modeling and the data transformation. Whatever data is coming from the client or from some other service, it has to model that and save it in the DB while interacting with different data stores, caches. Backend apps also interact with other services other than the client services. So all that logic and all these responsibilities are written and implemented in the backend apps. All these responsibilities are written in the client side apps. So as we talked about the example of creating a note in Evernote, from the moment you open the app on your desktop or mobile phone, and you click the button of creating a note, you enter some data, you are interacting with the client app, and that client app is interacting with the backend app and saving your note so that you can fetch it the next time. That whole cycle covers these applications and the responsibilities fulfilled by them, so that you can interact with a system like Evernote. Okay, now let's understand some elements or factors that are considered while you're designing or developing an app. So let's go through all these steps one by one using an example. Let's say you have to design an application, or you have to design an application to support a parking lot. Okay, now some requirements: you should be able to list all the parking slots, how many are empty and how many are filled. You should be able to find the next empty slot. Given a car registration number, you should be able to find out at which slot it has been parked at, and so on and so forth. So first of all, you will collect the requirements, the feature requirements for that particular application. Then you will understand who is this application meant for. Is this a backend application which is supposed to expose endpoints for a client application, or you have to build a client application and backend application both, or this is just going to be a CLI application where you enter commands like 1 2 3 4 and these requirements are fulfilled. You collect such information. Then you decide which layer. As I said, if it is going to be a mobile app, or it is going to be a desktop app, or web application, or backend application, depending on that layer, you decide the tech stack. If it's an Android app, you will go with Java or Kotlin. If it's a web application, you will go with some framework like React or Angular. If it's a backend application, you will go with any language like Python, Java, or any other framework. Again, depending on factors like which language can be used at that time, or how the engineering talent of the company is, or how the community support for that particular language is. That's a big discussion. I am not getting into details for that right now. After deciding the tech stack and the layer, the main part comes for the application. That is the code structure or the project structure of how that application is going to look like, the design patterns you're going to use in order to implement the business logic, expose the APIs, handle the data store interactions. Like, for example, if the application has to talk to a database or a caching layer, how you're going to do that, what kind of libraries you're going to use in order to support those data interactions. That is another important factor while designing the code structure of an application. Then you have to think about the performance and the cost. Like, you cannot write code for an application which takes a lot of memory or which eats up a lot of CPU cycles Because if that happens, if that performance is not considered while writing the code, then you might end up writing an application that hogs on the machine resources and eventually slows down the entire system as well. Then comes the part of deploying it. Like, do you want to deploy it on cloud, or do you want to just make it available at a certain port on an instance? It again, it depends on the scale and the requirements that you're building that application for. Obviously, with every application, especially given today's scenario where applications are developed for distributed systems and large scale systems, monitoring of applications is a very important point, where you try to measure the metrics, that how much memory or how much CPU the application is taking, how many requests the application is able to serve, and you have to log the errors and info about the applications to find out if it is not behaving in a certain manner or if it is throwing errors. So that monitoring is also a very important point when you are developing applications should be performing at an excellent level. Application should be reliable, should be able to handle failures. It should not happen that if the load increases, your application crashes, or if a wrong input is given, it crashes. So all those things have to be handled. The applications should be resilient, reliable. And if you consider all these factors and look at how others are building applications or follow best industry practices and standards, you can actually build a good application, standard application, which serves to the users and systems requirements. So as promised, let's talk about the surprise topic. As we discussed the example of Evernote, that at the back end, the applications could be like application handling for notes, application handling for payments, handling user base, etc. So it is possible that all these responsibilities or all these features sit in one code base. So there is only one application. Let's call it copy of Evernote, and it is doing all these responsibilities. So there are not multiple applications at the backend, but there is only one application which is performing all the required features. Such applications are called as monoliths because this is just one big piece of code which is handling all the requirements. There is a lot of discussion about advantages and disadvantages of monoliths, but usually small startups or small companies, when they don't have much of scale, start with a monolithic architecture where usually one or two applications are handling all the responsibilities. But as the users scale, as the requirements scale, there is an architecture which helps to bifurcate these applications and divide them into multiple services, which is known as microservice architecture. So you break this monolith and design and develop separate applications to handle separate responsibilities. So that is called as microservice architecture. And in this architecture, all these services interact with each other and with the client in order to fulfill the requirements. Although this is a big topic to create a new video on the difference between monolithic architecture and microservice architecture, but this is just the basic overview of what is the difference between the two. So that was my trial to help you understand what are applications, why do we need them, how to design and develop, the factors to consider, and some responsibilities of the applications. Let me know in comments if you have any queries or doubts with respect to what we have discussed today. Also, you can let me know in comments, list down 5 apps that you use and think about what are the services or the applications that could be running in the backend to serve the client side applications of those 5 apps that you use. In the upcoming videos, we are going to talk about how these services talk to each other through APIs and message queues, different other components like caching, load balancers, etc. Till then, take care. See you in the next video.